So we're right back to work, getting ready for Arizona. I think our guys are still plenty motivated and excited to be back in the building. We took a day off yesterday, so today we get a chance to start game planning and introduce the plan to these guys. The big news for today really is that we're going to put John Ross on IR. His injury is really probably a 6 to 8 week injury, and it's hard to guarantee what the timeline is. So the best decision is to put him on IR. And he's somebody that we would be able to bring back later in the season. So tough news for him. He really worked hard to come back from an injury in training camp. He was playing well, and so it's tough to see a guy go through that when he's fought through this before. So we'll be ready for him to get back when he heals up. But Arizona, we're moving on to Arizona, and they bring some challenges on defense. They got two really good edge guys, and Suggs and Chandler Jones. Those guys have been playing football for a long time. They've been disruptive for a long time. They're guys you certainly got to incorporate into the plan. And offensively, obviously, they got a dynamic young quarterback, a guy that really makes you stay on your toes for the entirety of the play. And Larry Fitzgerald still grinding through it, man, one of the all-time greats, true professional, guy you respect a ton. David Johnson in the backfield. So they got some weapons. They got some players on both sides of the ball, and so we got to be ready for a good test this week.
So Phillips and Ross would both be IR recall candidates potentially?
They're the two that are eligible right now. Yep.
With John Ross out, is there a player that you have that you feel like can take the top off of the defense at the receiver position? Yeah,
we feel like you got to be creative with your schemes to make sure that they're accountable all the way down the field, and certainly got guys that are ready to step up. Alex Erickson, Damian Willis. We'll promote Stanley Morgan Jr. will be active this week. So we feel like we've got a good core of guys in there. They all know what to do. They've gotten some reps, and we're going to be counting on those guys to step up.
Like that first game against Seattle, you were able to get the ball at Andy's hands quick. It seems like teams have kind of adjusted to that. What have you seen them try to do to take some of that quick passing game away from them?
Well, I think last week, I just didn't do a good enough job, with the calls. It gave us the best opportunity, and the pass rush, as they got the lead, they had some good rushers, and they put some pressure on us, and ultimately we just didn't get the job done. And so, the big emphasis for us is when we get our scoring opportunities, when we cross the 40 and we get in there, we got to take advantage and capitalize. And you just look at overall the scope of our drives over the last 4 weeks. When we've gotten across that threshold, we haven't scored enough points. We've left too many on the field, and so that's an area we got to improve on.
That strip sack, I think, when y'all were going down at the second drive,
yes.
Did Andy check out and play at the line and then go into something else?
It was 2 play calls. Yep. So he got us out of the first one like he was supposed to, and got us the second one. And again, it's 1st and 10, putting us in a drop back call right there. From my standpoint, something I could have been better at.
How much of this has been how much of that adjustment process for you learning what you can and can't do with this offense has this been for the first 4?
Well, I think we continue to grow as a unit, really, and continue to identify what our strengths and weaknesses are, and because we got to play to the best of our abilities. We're better than what we've shown, and so that's where we're at right now through 4 weeks. It's shown we're 0-4. We haven't capitalized on our opportunities, but we continue to identify the ways that we can improve, and we feel like so far we've got a good plan for Arizona, and excited to put it to the test.
Has this rebuilding process been more difficult than you expected?
No, I think, again, it's we haven't capitalized on the opportunities we've had. We're 0-4, but sure doesn't feel like we should be there. And we all know that, and we all recognize that, and we're accountable for it. And so, again, we early in that game, we felt like we had some opportunities that if we jump on, it's easy to say it would have been a different game, but you don't know that for sure. But, again, we got to start stronger. That's what's really killed us, is we have not started fast, mainly on offense. You look at the defense. They really held those guys down there. They scored a touchdown on a 3rd and 2 that I would heavily dispute, and then they held them to a field goal there and a 3rd and goal there at the end of the half, and so they gave up 10 points. But they battled with some tough field position all game. So offensively, we just got to start faster.
What is the rule now on ineligible linemen downfield? If they're engaged downfield and the ball is not in the air, but they're downfield and they're engaged, are they ineligible because the ball,
If they're down the field before it's thrown, there's an ineligible receiver down the field. But my thing that you can't challenge on a touchdown is whether it was OPI down the field. So if they engaged with the second level defender, which they did, and they said that they missed it. So that part's hard because we can't challenge that because it was a scoring play, and I made that mistake in the preseason. So that part was frustrating.
So the league you did check with the league?
Yep.
So this offense that Kingsbury's running, I know you're in the NFL when he was at Tech running it. I know you're studying Arizona's defense right now more than their offense, but from what you've seen, does it, are there any similarities to what you're trying to do, or are they a totally different style? What do you think?
There's certainly concepts that are carryover. You're talking comparing it to our offense. I wouldn't say that they're that similar. They're a little bit unique in their approach, and they're creative. They're going to really test you and make you be disciplined with your eyes, and they're always going to have some wrinkles that keep you off guard. And so, just watching them, they do have some dynamic players, and so again, you just got to be accountable with your eye discipline and know what your job is and execute it. And but they certainly have an offense that's capable of being explosive.
Has he modified his air raid quote offense in Texas Tech?
I'll be honest, the air raid isn't something I've really studied. I've always followed Cliff and seen a lot of the creativity he's had. I can't quite make that comparison to what Texas Tech looks like compared to Arizona.
Might be an obvious question, but how much does this team need to win, Zach, just to see something positive moving forward? Well,
we've worked hard. We've put in the work, and we always feel confident going into the game, and certainly you feel better after the win. But it is a resilient group. If you're present in the locker room after the game, you're present in our team meetings, you still feel the same energy. But again, a win certainly helps you continue in the right direction. And every week we've gone in feeling like, all right, this is the one. We're going to get this one. And it just hasn't quite gone our way. But again, it's still a resilient group that we all believe in each other, and we're excited for this next opportunity.
What percentage of go ahead,
I think you get 3 receivers. You get 3 receivers now. You get 11 games or fewer in the league. What about, does that put more pressure on guys, or do you use more guys like Gio, CJ? I mean, do you have to use these guys? Do you have to use them like a receiver now, or
what was the first part, Matt?
You get 3 receivers who have like 10 games of NFL experience or less. So how do you are there other guys on the roster that you can go to with the same spots, or how do you adjust to that?
Well, I certainly think we got a lot of players we believe in on offense at all the skill positions. So you're talking about running back, tight end, receiver, and so we got to continue to find ways to maximize their abilities and put them in position. And so we'll look at the full scope of it and figure out how to best put the best 5 eligibles out there that give us our best chance.
Has it been hard to get Gio snaps just the way games have unfolded and not getting a lot of snaps and a lot of plays in games?
Yeah, we just the amount of rushes hasn't been where it needs to be, and so that'll carry over to the whole room. It's not just Joe, it's Gio and all those guys, and again, it's just a better job of staying on track and getting the runs going, the play actions, the keepers, all that stuff married together. But certainly want to involve our playmakers to the full extent, and Gio hasn't gotten a ton of touches yet.
Is there a reason for that? Is there a reason for why there haven't been enough rushes?
Well, we've those first 3 games, I feel like I've pounded in the ground. This last game, we were. You give up 8 sacks, and you look at it and say we shouldn't have thrown the ball so much. That's the easy thing for anyone to say, for myself to say. And so, again, this is a week for us to get back on track.
When you talked about the offensive line, they're giving up 8 sacks. When you guys do play that poorly up front, I know it's just 4 games still, but do spots start to maybe open up or competition reignite when you guys aren't playing that well up front?
Well, we still believe in those guys we got, and do feel like we have some depth behind them. And so I think every week we evaluate what's our best 5 that we put out there. But certainly feel like there's some guys that can always step up. Really felt it's through the first 3 games, there were some moments those guys were really challenged, and they stepped up and really did a good job. This is the first game where it felt like, all right, they beat us up front a little bit, and it was for a variety of reasons. We can take the pressure off them with the play calls and the things that we're doing, and I feel like that's going to be a one-off from what we see. That's not going to be the norm. As a physical front, as the game went on, they wore us down a little bit, but still feel confident with the guys that we got out there that they're going to keep fighting and do a great job.
Is Michael Jordan still your left guard? I mean, Billy got some snaps the other night. Is it open, or is Michael still the guy for right now?
Yeah, Michael's still the guy.
What did you see from Pittsburgh's defense that made you want to throw the ball that much, even with the state of the lines in?
Well, I think in the first half we didn't necessarily feel that way, and then second half they came out and scored to start the drive, and so we were down 17-3, and then we're down 24-3 the next drive. That's unfortunately the way it goes, and that's a lot of the sacks came at that point. Down 21 points. Keep running the ball, I guess, but we still we got a shot. We drove the ball down there and had 4th and goal, I think, on the 12. Still feel like if you get a touchdown there, it's 24-10. It's a 2-possession game with 11 minutes left. I still feel confident that we got a shot. I'm not giving up on that, and so it's hard. At times you want to run the ball to take the pressure off. You want to call some screens, take the pressure off, but ultimately when you're down like that, you got to drop back and throw it and give yourself a chance to win.
Last year, the team finished 1-7. Most of your staff, a lot of your players had nothing to do with that, 1-7. Then 0-4 this year. Do you worry that the guys that were part of that are thinking, oh, here we go again? I mean, the guys have to fight through that mental part of it. I mean, how difficult is that for a coach? You have to be a psychologist, psychiatrist sometimes as well as coach.
I don't feel that. I feel like it's all new and fresh, and we are 0-4. We're not 1 and whatever. It does. I don't get that sense from anybody. Like you said, I wasn't here, so I don't feel it. I don't get the sense from the players. So, again, we're 0-4, and that's what we are right now.
How much do you worry or concern yourself with your message continuing to resonate? Because when you're 0-4, maybe it takes some of the meat and potatoes from it. Do you worry about that at all? Or?
Yeah, you worry about it if you don't have the right character that's going to respond to it. The character of the guys in the locker room, and that's something we challenge them on every week. What are we about? What are we about as men? What are we about as football players? And they've responded to that challenge every week. And I understand at 0-4, you could think that the message gets a little stale, but I haven't seen that from those guys. They've responded at every turn. And I believe in those guys right now and believe that we can get it turned on quickly.
You seem to have a real open line of communication, with your players as a head coach, your coaching staff. During the game, when they come off the field, are they giving you good information? During the week, are they giving you good information about, their mindset and all that during that line of communication aspect?
That's what's been good, really. And guys aren't because when the communication is poor, it's when guys are afraid to accept responsibility for something that happened. And sometimes it's a little bit harder to see it as it happens live. Now we get the pictures on the sidelines and all that stuff, but certainly been around players over the course of my career that don't accept that responsibility. Then you watch the tape the next day, you're like, dude, come on, just tell me so we can fix it. That hasn't been the case with these guys. These guys are open about it. When they make a mistake, they admit to it, and we get it corrected quickly.
I'm sure you like Willis and Morgan right away. When they came in, I don't know if you liked them this much to both be playing and to be active. But what have you seen from Willis since he's in the last month? And what about Stanley?
Competitors, man, they are competitive as they come, and they're natural football players. They both can make plays when you put in their vicinity. They love to compete. They love to practice. You watch Stanley on the practice squad, man. I mean, he's dead tired, taking 1,000 snaps on both sides of the ball, and the guy competes his tail off. And so those are just guys that impress you. You like the energy that they bring to the whole team. And, yeah, they're undrafted rookie free agents that we went out and got, but really been impressed with them since the first couple weeks they've been here. And enough that they're both active right now. You can always have the conversation, do you want to go get somebody else that maybe you've seen on tape that's played more in the league? No, these are guys we believe in, and if we didn't, we wouldn't bring them up. We'd go get somebody else, but believe in both those guys.
One more minute, please.
How much of your playbook is still intact, or what you want to do at the start of the season? What percentage would you say?
That'd be a hard. The core of what we want to do is always there, and each week as the team you're playing, it's got to evolve, and you got to look for ways to be creative and be unique. And it doesn't mean that the concepts that you're running change. It just means the window dressing a little bit changes. And I think a lot of teams would say that the nuts and bolts that you practice in the spring and training camp, they continue to evolve the first quarter, the second quarter, third quarter of the season as it goes, and you got to look for ways to be fresh, and that's part of what we're trying to do right now.
What are your initial impressions of Kyler Murray?
Creative. The play's always alive. He's stronger than you think. He's harder to bring down than you think because he's not 6'5", 240. You see the power in his arm. I think that's the first thing when you go to the pro days and you see him throw live and in person. The power jump. He's a pro baseball player. You know, he's obviously got power. You know, for all the things he's been able to do. And so you see that in person, and it's good to see in person because otherwise you think, okay, he's not a big guy. You know, it's more of a controlled passing game. That's not the case. He's got the power in his arm to drive the ball down the field, and so he's the number one pick for a reason. You see it on tape.
Do you expect Cordy to play this week?
No.
There was a report that AJ would be out for a couple more weeks. I mean, can you speak to that?
I don't know where that came from, to be quite honest with you. We talk every day with our trainers, and there's been no deadline or a set number of weeks that it's going to happen. He's continuing to rehab right now, so that didn't come from me.
Do you still have an estimate as to when you expect him back?
No. Still week to week at this point, I would say. He's not going to play in this game.
Zach, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Last one. They ran a lot of these little flip screens behind the line, and that some did direct snaps to their other running back. Is that something you think you could utilize?
Well, that depends on kind of the scheme that you're facing, and they felt like that was something that they hadn't shown a lot of, and they got us on it a couple times. That was really their rushing game to an extent because we did a good job against the run, and so they felt like they had to get the ball in the perimeter. I think they were 8 for 8 when they did it. Well, we should be 8 for 8 unless you're fumbling the exchange. So there was they had some success, but again, overall, despite that, our defense they weren't giving away the chunk plays. They were giving away some of that stuff that gets frustrating at times. But overall, again, we got to score more points, take the pressure off of them. That's the biggest key.